Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All I Can Geek Gamecast, episode 445. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Greetings.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Yosh.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners, to 445 of the Gamecast. We have a topic tonight. Yes, that's right. Returning back to the Gamecast is our topics. We've covered Marvel so much on the movie cast. If you haven't listened, we've decided to really get into the focus on the Gamecast here and give you guys a topic tonight, which has been going on for a while in the gaming industry. And we definitely wanted to talk about it is the hiring and firing of developers, people working on projects and being let go and just basically having no rights, bad pay, overworked, and what can be done in this situation. We're gonna get into that. We have news to talk about first. We have what we've been up to talk about first. Let's get into that first. Wait, that's a lot of firsts. Let's start off with what we've been up to, and then go into news, and then do the topic. So I will kick us off and say Sekiro is extremely hard.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
No way.
I have not gone past the next level that I was on. I've played it numerous times, and I am one. What's that?
Lucked into the next part, and you couldn't luck your way into it like you did in the first one.
I tried multiple times to skip around battles, like to try to go through that level without almost any combat, and I got so far the first try.
Wait, Jim, why are you playing this game if you're avoiding the primary interaction?
Well, because it is a very because Tony told me it's very much like Tenchu, and now in Tenchu, you avoid shit like crazy in that game.
Yeah,
yes,
that's like a stealth game.
There are certain battles you have to fight, and I get that point. But like the mobs, I'm skipping them if I can. And so I've been doing that. I did that in the first level. I feel like I got very far in the first stage to the point where I fell down in that first, whatever that second stage area is, where I fell down and I was at this door, but I started getting hit with like flaming boulders or something was hitting me. Does that sound familiar, Tony? Or does that happen a lot? Sure. Okay. So I was trying to fight this normal mob in that section, and I was trying to hit him, and I would get knocked by some catapult thing that would hit me, and I lost. So when I died there, I restarted, and I never got that far again. I tried just going through the grind. Oh, by the way, when I died, I went right back to the start of that level, and right back to actually wait until when you first wake up, essentially, outside the building. So I had to go back in there, use the grapple hook thing, and keep going. But I never got that far again, and I don't know if maybe it's best to just grind through it, like step by step, mob by mob. Tony, any advice? No?
I mean, you can. I mean, if you're dying a lot, then that means you're doing something wrong, and either you be more stealthy or you're just not.
You need to practice more.
Yeah,
you practice
not
more.
Good enough.
Generally, the ranged bullshit. It always sucks.
That's what
you have
happens,
to learn the enemy layout, because if you take those guys out first, then everything else should be a piece of cake. But I mean, the thing is, if you're dying to those dudes, like you said, sooner or later, you're going to have to fight some dudes.
I know.
The story progression will be blocked until you can fucking take out some dudes.
What was great? I know I did. I did take out like a couple mobs in the first playthrough. Like I would fall down. I would stealthily kill people, like one shots. And I killed a couple of vultures, I told you, or whatever those birds were. And eventually, like I said, I fell. I didn't know where to go exactly because there's no map. You just kind of have to kind of go through the level. And I kind of guessed where I had to go was down rather than up, which I thought I had to go up originally, and that was wrong. So I started going downwards, and that's where things got really tough. And
what kind of dudes were you fighting?
They were regular mobs, but I would get like projectile hits is what would happen. And
like
that's where
guns or arrows.
I'm telling you, something catapult-wise was being launched into me.
Huh. Okay. I mean, the other thing is too is like this game is the only game from software has released where you have infinite run. You have infinite. Any other game, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, you have a stamina meter, so you can only run until that runs out, and you have to let it catch back up. So in this game, you can infinite sprint, infinite.
So run. I should have run.
Yeah, just run to the if you can see the catapult, just run to there and kill that fucker there, and take your time with the area and stuff like that. Yeah. The other thing is too is like just be on the lookout for like the little Buddhist statues because that's the respawn. So
Okay. I
and
did
like
see
there's generally
one.
not like 2 to
That
3
was-
minutes between Buddhist statues in this game. Like
No,
they're
there
pretty-
was one right the next section. I should have run to that. Is what I should have
yeah,
done.
absolutely. Because if you die, you just respawn there. Then.
Gotcha. Okay, that's where I messed up. Should run to that. Okay, but I'm enjoying. Believe it or not, I'm having fun. I just love the atmosphere. I love the design. I like it's gonna be frustrating for me. I understand that, but I do enjoy the world quite a bit. And so I played all the tutorial of what Tony recommended, so that was good. And that was good. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Really, I didn't get to play many games. So, Mike, you've been on in a while though. What have you been up to?
I've mostly been playing MK11.
Nice.
Yep.
Couple bits of news about that recently too. But go on.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think by the time I got it, most of the grindiness was patched out. So it's not that bad. The towers, I see them.
They got patched apparently yesterday.
As soon as I got it, like 4 or 5 days ago, it was okay. But they keep getting patched. It's an ongoing thing. They're trying to find a balance that's not super annoying. But as a game, I played through the story. It's decent. It really invokes the feelings of the original Mortal Kombat movie. They have a whole old meets new thing. It's not really that funny though. It takes itself pretty seriously actually. I know you said you thought it looked like it was really jokey, and aside from Johnny Cage occasionally, it takes itself pretty seriously. So that was interesting. I don't know. It maybe even could have gone jokier, I think, because it does get pretty ridiculous where it goes with like story wise. But it was a good cinematic story. There's a few branching paths when you choose which character you want to be, and it's a good little introduction to the mechanics. They are quite different from the NetherRealm stuff that I've seen so far. You don't have like a big back three like bounce move anymore. Juggles aren't quite as important. There's these things called crushing blows that a hit in a combo or a certain move hits harder than it normally would by like 20% of your life. If it's like punished in a certain point or you hit it 3 times in a row, or there's very like specific parameters that you'd have to either memorize or just luck into. So there's a lot. It feels very different than Injustice and MKX. So it's taking some getting used to, but it's a solid game, obviously. My biggest issue was in the crypt, which is very deep. It's pretty much an RPG where you unlock all the unlocks in the game. I knew there would be jump scares in it again, and I'm too old for this. Like I don't want jump scares in my games anymore. I don't need it. It's not fun to me. It's just
I've heard
annoying.
about this. Yes, yeah.
So what happened is I ended up like over psyching myself up about this. Like I looked and I was worried about it too much, and then I went online. I found the worst one, saw what you need to do to make it happen, and then once it happened, I'm like, oh, okay. That's it. So now I'm over it. I can do it. I'm not afraid of the crypt anymore. Even though I could still get startled by like a sound if it's too loud, but there's a lot to it, and hopefully they find a better balance. The hearts are the currency that are still the hardest to find right now.
Yeah.
And from like fatalities, you gotta do fatalities.
You do, right? Yeah. It's funny because it does slow the games down. Even when you play online, it counts. So there's always, if you're doing any sort of ladder or even online, there's always an incentive to do a fatality or brutality because you get the most valuable currency when you do that. So I guess that's kind of cool if you want to see them, but after a while, if you're like doing like 10 matches in a row, you're like, oh, all right, another one, the same one I just did like 3 times in a row. Okay, but it's a pretty good game. It's just there's some questionable choices, mostly with the crypto and the currency, but I like it so far.
Yeah,
that's been it. I've been putting some time in.
The crypt, the towers apparently got. We're gonna just tie this into the news real quick because I have that news open where the towers were reduced to where level 1 25 uppercuts and throws. It's been reduced significantly. Level 5 is 75 wins, 35 fatal blows, 25 fatalities, and 25 brutalities. That's your level 5 of the crypt now, which apparently is like more than half of what it used to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even found things like that yet. I found one thing where to unlock it, I just needed to have a specific character throw someone 25 times.
The weird part about this was that they just overpaced their game. It wasn't about making money for this. It was a choice of trying not to not have the game get finished quickly.
Yeah.
That was the weird part. Like, everybody thinks that they were trying to money hat this game, but and of course they do have monetization in it, but it's not based on the towers. No. The towers were always just a pacing thing.
It was a difficulty thing.
It was a poor decision in terms of pacing, is what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not so, based on money. The amount of time and effort you put into it didn't equate to what you were getting out of it.
Exactly. So they increased those better drops, and now they've reduced the amount of stuff you have to do. So that's a good thing. All right, Corey, what have you been up to?
I didn't play any games.
No. All right,
whatsoever.
That's all right. It happens. Tony, you can get through anything? I know you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I've been up to. So, let's get into some news. Okay, so this is interesting. Last week we had Borderlands 3's gameplay reveal. And
the news you guys should have been talking about here.
No. The news is no.
Okay, we didn't talk about the gameplay reveal at all. So
did it happen last week? I thought it happened after the podcast.
The day after the podcast.
Yeah, so that's why we couldn't. Yes, we do have to talk about the gameplay reveal, but we have to talk about Randy Pitchford's attitude on Twitter.
he's getting.
I mean, it hasn't changed, has it? I mean, like, it's kind of old news here. It's like, guy's an asshole.
Yes,
it sucks because he really just needs to be separated.
He just needs to shut up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's like, it's almost like you expect it, and
no. Okay, so focusing on the gameplay reveal, we'll go back to Randy after this. That's the negative part. You want to focus on the major part, the good part first, or the negative part?
Good news, bad news.
We already started talking about this whole.
Okay, so then Randy obviously had said in his presentation, and multiple times, that they wouldn't be having a what is the word? Microtransactions, not loot boxes. Microtransactions. No microtransactions in this game, but there are microtransactions in this game. Granted, they are cosmetic only, and they've done this in, I guess, in Borderlands
outside
2.
Of the game.
Yeah, they've done this in Borderlands 2, but it is not a true statement. At the end of the day, it's not a true statement.
This is one of the stupidest arguments. Like,
he's the one that brought it up as a big problem.
No, I understand, and because the way he phrased it is the worst, and the attitude he had afterwards is the worst. It's like, so you say this is going to be just like we did with Borderlands 2, skins and the campaign DLC, and then in the game he should have said in game there's going to be no microtransactions in game. Yeah. But he doesn't say that. He says no microtransactions at all. If he just said in game there are no microtransactions, then we would have been fine. But people didn't hear or didn't think, oh, it's going to be like Borderlands 2, because
it turns out to be a misleading statement the way he said it.
Right, absolutely, and he definitely should have come out and just said clarifies no, it's in game there are no microtransactions.
And he did come back and clarify during a yelling tweet at Game Informer for their article.
Right. No, he went back and forth with Game Informer and. Because you can classify anything as a microtransaction if you want.
Sure, absolutely.
That's
but
what
then they'll say you don't.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. The phrasing is very poor. He could have said no loot boxes or something like this, and no in-game microtransactions. He could have said all that, but he didn't.
And then the most recent thing has been the Claptrap's original voice actor whole dispute with paying him extra and just not letting it drop on Twitter. Again, just shut up. Just
right. Absolutely.
It was just like his controversy months ago when he had the thumb drive. Just shut up.
That's what I'm saying. It's this guy is just. This is what you get.
There was something that even worse that came out. I don't know if you guys saw. I think it was yesterday.
Really?
Or 2 days ago. But the voice actor for Claptrap.
That's what I just brought up.
Oh, the accusing of the assault.
Yeah.
Accusing of assault.
Assaulted him. Yeah.
Oh.
In a hotel.
I missed that part.
Yeah. He came out on Twitter and said
he physically assaulted him.
Yes, got assaulted in a hotel by Randy Pitchford.
Wow. Holy
shit. It's just so much back and forth with people. And and not that saying it didn't happen, because obviously I would believe it 100% with Randy Pitchford and everything. But it's look, this guy, the voice actor, he knows how to push this dude's buttons, because he worked with him for 10 years. It's and he could just say anything and to get him to do it. It's
Yeah, but Randy Pitchford has that attitude. He's like very
that's what I
passionate
said.
over
I
the
don't
top
disagree.
person.
I don't think that necessarily didn't happen. I'm just saying like this guy is saying certain things obviously to push buttons because he knows how to do it as well.
Yeah. So
And it's like it's just so funny to see like the Reddits, subreddits, and stuff. It's just like everyone just like Randy Pitchford, please shut up, just don't say anything. And it's like somebody needs to follow this guy around, and like as soon as he opens his phone, just like boom,
Slap it out of his
hand. It's like fuck that. Like don't get on social media.
He needs a PR guy behind him.
It's just yeah, the guy is very passionate about his game and his magic, but like he just does not know how to rein it in when it comes to social media, and it's very unfortunate because Borderlands looks like an amazing game.
Yeah,
and I really don't want him to turn people off on trying this game out.
Corey, lead us into the Borderlands 3 good things, the gameplay now. What we get
so on Wednesday, the day our podcast gets released, so obviously we couldn't see it, talk about it last week.
Yeah.
They had the official gameplay reveal, and what I really loved about this is that they were really open about this reveal. Like they brought in the press the day before and let them play it for 90 minutes, like full. Like just do whatever you want in this little section. It's going to be like complete. This section's complete. This is the game. You get to do whatever you want, play however you want, and then at the end we're gonna just give you a whole bunch of shit to like mess around with. And then the next day, Wednesday, was the big gameplay reveal, and they had a big presentation, which was I thought they did a good job explaining what the game is going to be, what you can expect from Borderlands 3, and what changes you're going to see from Borderlands 2, and like. There's that whole big controversies with the polygons and everything. It's like, oh, well, this should have just been a DLC for Borderlands 2. But you can see after the gameplay reveal how much more they're putting into this game. This game is a 2019 version of Borderlands 2, essentially, but you're getting all the quality of life improvements that you would expect. So people expect in shooters, this is a shooter first and a looter second. So you need to have a good feeling shooter, and from everything I've heard, the game feels great to shoot and play with these guns. You have sliding now, you have mantling, you have a lot of the things that in a modern shooter you'd expect to be there. So that automatically.
It was crazy. When I saw the sliding event, I was like, wait, that wasn't in Borderlands 2. I just assumed it was in there. Yeah,
and that automatically changes the interactions between the combat and like every encounter you have. It automatically changes how that can be approached and how you're going to go about it. So that's going to elevate this game in a different way. And so I'm excited for that, obviously. You have destructible cover sequences. You have, obviously, secondary fires on all of the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You have each of the 4 Vault Hunters, because there are 4 Vault Hunters at the beginning of every Borderlands game so far, and then they've added some here and there. But they all have 3 abilities now instead of just the 1 main ability. Now you can choose strategically how you want to use them. So like Tony, you saw like the Moe's character who's got the mech, and like that's the character I was like most drawn to as well. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this character first, and you are probably gonna play that character first if you play this game. And it's like, but we could both have like completely different loadouts and different ways to play it that could support each other. Because
that was the big thing about 2 is when I played with you, I wanted to play as a separate, different character than just you had the shield guy. I can't remember who it was, right? I would try to be, Zero or whatever, just to complement you better than just being 2 shield guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah. So that was like a big change. And then the biggest change, in my opinion, is the instance loot. So in Borderlands, the classic mode they have still, but like you would just like kill an enemy. There was a loot pinata, and everybody ran for the best weapons and tried to steal them or loot ninja the whole thing. Unless you play with friends and you could like kind of coordinate. And so with loot instancy now, everybody gets their own loot, and so this also applies to how you see the enemies and how you are going to be playing. So if I'm playing for like 30 hours and I'm already like level 25, 30, and then you're playing for like 10 hours and you're at level 10, we could play in the same game and have the same exact experience. You wouldn't necessarily be feeling as though I'm killing everything for you or that you're so far behind, because when I'm shooting things at your level and you're shooting things at my level.
And that's a pretty cool mix, because I remember you running me through it, and now that's not going to happen anymore. We're going to have to go through
it. Exactly. And I mean, you can turn that off, but this is the best way to play. And so like when you get a loot drop, now you're getting a loot drop that's going to be good for you no matter what, instead of like, well, I'm in a level 5 instance of a game and I'm 25, I'm never going to pick up this loot because it doesn't matter for me, but it will now because of the instance loot. So I think that's a huge thing, especially for streamers and stuff. Like they seem to be going real heavy and leaning into the streamer side of things. They're giving streamers,
why would they do that?
they're giving streamers the chance to like bring their audience into their game in a way to participate with this Echo Cast extension on Twitch.
I
Where,
don't believe you, Corey. I think you're lying.
where you can essentially like watch some streamer and earn rewards for in-game stuff for yourself. So it's like you doing things and watching the streamer can influence and affect your game for the better. So that's really neat. I think that's great. And then again, they gave 200 streamers 90 minutes to play the game, like, and just see how they felt about it, and told everyone just like talk about it however you want, like do whatever you want to do here, and take a look at all these guns. And they showed some bosses, which are pretty neat. Like they already showed
hamburger gun,
brain gun, like so it's just like there's a lot of stuff there, and it's just so exciting for a Borderlands fan. And I think for anybody that's looking to jump in, they specifically want this game to be accessible for people like that, and that's why you have that instance loot level scaling. As well.
That's a great idea. So
it's really exciting. They did a great job with the stream and the reveal.
Yeah, no, it looks really good. It actually, for me, when I watched the first reveal, I was wondering the differences between Borderlands 2 and this, because I thought in my mind it looks similar, but when you watch this game actually in motion, it does look a lot more clean and crisp.
And the other big thing is like you're gonna leave Pandora in the solar system, and you're gonna go to other planets, and so your home base now is a spaceship. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to get to go to multiple...
Which is awesome. Yeah. We've always... I mean, we talked about that before in Borderlands 2. We wanted that, and they've added that now. So, all right. Let's see. In worse news, Anthem players themselves, the core gamers, are declaring the game dead.
Yeah. I mean, they took shots at like Anthem a little bit, too, in their gameplay reveal. It's like they're saying, like, when you kill an enemy and get a loot drop, we want you to be able to immediately feel like you get to have a chance to use your weapon. It's like, I think that's important. It's like, it
is important. It's very important. And that is something fundamentally wrong.
In Anthem, they do that. It's like, they're not letting you do that.
Talking about the roadmap for Anthem being delayed, like all the features. And
no, I think we missed that. And so that's why I'm saying, like, they said that they were trying to, they want to get it right, is their excuse.
They're also like, moving everybody over to Dragon Age too, so
and now they're moving people over to Dragon Age. So the thing is like, I mean, with the actual core people still playing this game now, saying they're giving up on it and moving away. That's it. This is it. I mean, this doesn't make it out. This doesn't make it out of the summer, and I don't think this.
That's the thing is like,
EA just had their investor call today, and they didn't even talk about it, like not even mentioned it.
Yeah, BioWare is. I was going to say reliant on Dragon Age 4, but we said they were relying on these other games too. So it's like, do they make it through this, or do they? I mean, is Dragon Age 4 basically going to be rebranded?
BioWare, so I mean, I'm not gonna...
I know, but they have Dragon Age 4 is still in production. So like, can they close them with this and move production?
I mean, studio's been closed while in the middle of development.
And move. I mean, the game has got to come out. They're going to release Dragon Age 4.
I wouldn't say that's a guarantee. At all. I would say they have a year to really make a good vertical slice that says, not only will this game get like, a 85 plus on Metacritic, unfortunately that's still a thing, but here's a good monetization model / path, for you to keep making money off of this, a la Apex Legends, which they did talk about in their investor call a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, that has to happen. I think they have 1 year for Dragon Age to really shape up and prove to them that this isn't going to be another Anthem, because that's, if you read what the Jason Schreier said again in that huge expose, if you haven't read it already.
I still haven't read it. I know.
They literally, at one point, they took out flying from Anthem, even though that was pitched. And one of the high EA execs was like, where the fuck is the flying? You promised me flying. So like, oh shit! So they like programmed it back in, and like all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's where we are with Dragon Age. Because again,
I I would lean towards the Dragon Age game never coming out.
Yeah, they might
I'm
see a
more,
build
I'm more
of
on
it
that
and say
side
that's
right
it.
now.
Yeah.
You've put so much money into this Anthem game, and it was supposed to be this living game, ongoing revenue stream for you that you had to have in order to make the next thing. Like you don't have something
Well,
else.
I would like to point out though that it's been reported multiple times that BioWare wanted this game.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like
I think it's the same mistake they've made before, though, where like something comes out and it's wrong, and they give up on it instead of fixing it.
Exactly. Like,
But the problem is, Mike, this time around, this has core issues in it, like in the game itself, that I don't think you can change.
Well, isn't it most of its issues really are tied to just loot and progression?
Well, that and also, I mean, not being able to just simply change your loadout while you're in a level is something you have. I mean, I don't know if you can fix that. You can't
we're
patch
not developers. Who knows? Maybe you can. Like, but the problem with this is they went in so many different directions. They didn't know where they were going, like, and they didn't know how to get there. So they just threw these things together. It seems like, and based off of like, where's this and where's that?
Well, they definitely threw these things together.
And
It seems like
you saw what the trailer was, the first initial trailer, and that's nothing like what we're getting.
I got to go back to. I need to go back to that podcast episode where we talked about that. And that's bullshit. That entire thing is fucking bullshit.
You were like, that is bullshit off the bat. I was like, I hope that's it. I remember saying, I hope that's it. I really want that to be it.
No, I mean, it's like when you see.
I wasn't really impressed with any of these initial trailers anyway.
Yeah.
Well, everybody expected this to fail as well, which
I mean,
it's
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right, it doesn't help because now people are more willing to give up on it quicker.
Oh, you can't.
It's a big joke.
You can't delay that roadmap. Like that's just telling them is like, well, we don't care anymore because not enough of you care. So it's like, all right, so we won't care either. Like that.
And then also announce that you're moving people to Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, and I'm the other thing is just I just don't understand. Like I want to say that even though it's not the same studios, I want to say that Blizzard or some other company offered to like come in and like try to teach like, hey, here's how you can like salvage this. Like here's like a plan or something like that, and they're just like, nope, like we know what we're doing. So it's like, all right, like go ahead, like
okay.
Who is still at BioWare who was there back in Mass Effect 2 times? Like, is anyone still there?
Casey Hudson's there now.
Yeah, he came back. Yeah. He was the one who everyone blamed for the ending of Mass Effect 3, so maybe he's...
Well, he came on even this time. This is not his project. Now, Dragon Age 4, he owns.
I remember you being very excited that he's on this now.
Sure. I thought he would fix it, but...
You figure, it's a... guy from the good days of BioWare. But
again, it's like Phil Spencer. I mean, Phil Spencer is not responsible for the Xbox One. He's taken over and he's done a good job with it, but it's really the next system is on him. You know what I mean? Like the Dragon Age 4 is on Casey Hudson now. You know, if that doesn't pan out, that's huge for him.
It's a hard time to make any new games because like they're all going to have to be like cross-generational at this point.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's interesting with Borderlands is they're not doing that whole Gaz style. They're sticking to the old DLC campaigns and a bunch of smaller stuff.
If it works, it works for them. So
and again, like the thing is, so at least with games like Destiny, and even Destiny has its fair share of problems still these days. But at least they came out with the content. They came out that roadmap, outlined it.
They persevered.
Right, exactly, and with them saying like our roadmap stuff, we're putting them in the backlog. It's like you just came out of launch, like you can't just do that. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if they expect the 1 year mark they're going to come out with like Anthem, The Taken, Queen, or some shit to miraculously fix their issues, but I don't see that happening. I just don't see.
No, I mean it has happened before in games like. It's not like it's unprecedented, but it's something that like it's going to be massive.
It's probably not.
Like I almost wish they would just be like, you know what? we're taking this game away from everyone, and we're gonna go put it back in the oven and let it.
Final Fantasy 14.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah, Final
relaunch it.
Fantasy
And just
relaunched,
relaunch
yep.
it as a new.
I remember like people were so pissed when they said they were gonna not. That's it. We're taking this. It's off. And then like they came back with a much better product. It's still going.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. And lastly on the news, we have EA Access is coming to PlayStation 4 finally in July for $29.99 a month or $29.99 a year. Sorry. You get their discounts on games and early access.
Bullshit. You really want to end on that? Not the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3?
Well, I don't have enough info for it. It's in the Game Informer magazine. I haven't finished the article yet. Ultimate Alliance.
2 new characters.
Yeah, I didn't get to that part. So 2 new characters.
It's Captain or no, Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Is Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye. So.
That's awesome. And the game is being designed as with the Switch in mind. So it's going to be much smaller sessions. The way to pick up and go.
Yeah, if you go to Game Informer's Twitter or probably the website too, they posted some new snippets and the combat looks a lot better, the frame rate, and everything like that. So
yeah, that was the big thing for me from the demo. I just wasn't impressed by that. So it looks good. All right, let's get into our topic. This is the developers.
Are we bringing the Riot stuff into this topic?
Oh, I thought we were bringing the NetherRealm stuff.
Well, I mean, it's all of it's the same way. Same way. It does all go into that. So, I mean, we were talking about the fact that like crunch time is a huge thing. We've talked about this before in the podcast. Crunch time. We've talked about like employee like hours and stuff, and what they do for like look at like was it Druckmann? And I mean, he's burnt. You know what I mean? And
Australia left. He was done.
Australia's burnt out. That's what it is. Not Druckmann. Australia.
Amy Hennig too. Like she's done.
Yeah. She got cut like from visceral. I mean, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have that problem right there. You have people like staffed up and then losing their jobs like constantly in this industry to the point where like. Is it something that you think they need a union for these?
They absolutely do, 100%.
Yeah. Is this something that needs a union? Like, I don't want to oversell. Like, unions have their own flaws, but like, is this
you
might
need
be
an organization that's looking out for everybody's best interest here? I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a union would be.
We mentioned this a little bit in the movie cast too, and we know that there's several unions like the Writers Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, and they're very powerful. Like you need a SAG card to appear on a commercial, apparently.
But see, that's also another thing that limits it. But yes,
no, I know. But even like, and that's an industry where you have these big deadlines, like billions of dollars. Like it's the same sort of thing happening there, and they're very necessary because of that. And I'm sure there's some level of crunch there, but they get compensated. And
that's what I'm saying. You have those unionized thing that protects you for these crunch times.
Yeah.
Is there an alternative though to these crunch times to because like the Riot News? What was the Riot News again? It was
So the Riot News was a couple people were attempting to sue Riot for over some of the leadership things that happened with like harassment. And some other stuff.
See, there's no protections in place for this.
Right.
Yeah.
And Riot has this shitty thing that says, like when you get hired by them, you waive your right to sue them and have to go through arbitration.
Right.
Which is super fucked up. Like, I mean, arbitration basically means like they get like a mediator and like you negotiate to solve the problem basically. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I could sort of see some merit to that in like, you know, off the cuff, like not really like minor issues. But like when you talk about like harassment, rape, like all that kind of shit, it's like that doesn't work. Like that doesn't work at a professional company.
Was Riot Games the guy that would ball tap people?
Yeah, dude, like the frat boy kind of.
That was the frat boy thing where he was going around ball tap. The CEO was ball tapping people.
No, I think it was the CFO.
CFO. I'm sorry. I don't want to accuse somebody wrong. But yes,
it was one of the C-level executives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he got like a 2-month suspension without pay, but it's like really like just a suspension kind of thing. So now they just had 150 people do a walkout the other day to
protest the whole arbitration harassment.
Yeah, I think like union is the only thing that these people need the protection of a union. This is what it's for. The idea of it, the actual this is what they make unions for.
Yeah,
and there's places where they don't work, but this is one of those things that you can see employees being abused by all these companies. And it's all over the place. NetherRealms was another one with crunch time.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So I think there was 2 or 3 articles that came out in a week and a half span that just said NetherRealm Studios is fucking shitty.
Well, it's not even they even tell you and that's been the defense of these industries.
A dude died during I think Injustice 2's crunch period or something like that.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I just know that
I'll look for it.
The company has come out, and multiple companies have come out and said we've never required Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar came out and said we never required people to work the extra hours. We didn't want to make it look like that. But then you hear these stories about it's like an internal thing where if you don't work the hours, you get shunned and outcast. I mean, immediately in this industry.
The other thing was with the temp workers was were making minimum wage, so they used the extra hours because that was how they got money because they needed the extra hours. So they.
We talked about last week too with Epic and how Fortnite is in crunch constantly. It's always in crunch because it's always got to put something out. Yeah. If you don't, you're gonna die. And so they use 6 months contractors and things like that, and they tell them straight out, it's if you want to get renewed, you may need to work extra hours because that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at people who are willing to put extra time.
They're not even trying to hide it. They're just saying
there's some merit to that being straight up we're going to work you to the bone for a while. We're going to compensate the shit out of you, but I mean, you're basically sacrificing blood from
right. And if you want to come back, then there's definitely. I mean, there's different ways that these companies approach it all, but everybody's in that. Everybody has it. Everybody's in the crunch zone at some point, and employees are working 80 hours a week.
Yeah, here we go. So I found it real quick. Somebody named Jiminy Snackmouth on April 23rd this year said, I took 1 day off. This is during the Injustice 2 crunch, I think. I took 1 day off between January 1st and the day 1 patch was approved. It was my birthday and it was on a Sunday, so it was okay if I was just on call. I was allowed to go to a friend's wedding on call, of course, on a Saturday night after working an 8-hour shift for. There were only 2 days I didn't work from at least 10 a.m. to at least midnight. We were all doing this. I mean, except the bosses, of course, who would leave after dinner. Oh, I forgot to mention Miguel, who just died at his desk during crunch. This is after I left on Mortal Kombat 10, I think. There's no doubt my friend would be alive if it weren't for this absolutely insane practice. And then he clarified, sorry, it was during Injustice 2, not MKX.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That was a pretty bad thing to happen. But then all this other shit came out, the temp work, the contractors and stuff like that, getting paid $12 an hour because I think they're in Chicago? I think that's where they're based out of. That's,
minimum wage there,
jobs and stuff like that. But then not only that, they would dangle the full-time positions over their heads. If you just dangle the carrots, if you just crunch for us for fucking minimum wage, you'll get that full-time position, and they would never do it. Apparently, multiple of the fatalities were taken from contract, it was contracted work, and they didn't even hire those people. So it's apparently they're good enough to make those fatalities for you, but they're not good enough to hire.
They were never going to hire them. It's not based on that. This is the way the industry works. It's a hire and fire. It's like retail stores, hiring up for holidays for the Christmas season, and then you fire them right after January 1st. It's the same idea for
exactly. Yeah. But it's even shitter because
it's even shittier. Yes.
Right. You're getting crunched on, and then you
also dangled the carrot by saying you could have a full-time job here. Always like that.
Right. Yeah. And one of the other things was apparently, with the MK11 DLC characters leak, or maybe it was just the full roster leak. I forget, one of the 2 leaks. Apparently they had an emergency all hands on deck meeting, and basically one of the leaders screamed at everybody, but basically all the contractors, and blamed them and not the full-time employees, and said, whoever leaked this, you guys need to figure this out. They're stealing from you. They're screwing you, this, that, and the other thing. And try to turn it into a witch hunt. Maybe we'll just fire all the contractors, all this other stuff. And it's just wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
Super shitty.
It's been coming out more and more. And Jason Schreier is a big part of this. And, kudos to him because he's unearthed a lot of this stuff. But it's also, you know, employees have been coming out, and because of that, the employees have felt more comfortable to come out. The former employees come out and say, "This was a nightmare. This was shit," and starting to say that, and unlike before, where you know it was just silent. So we're hearing more and more of these stories, and it's just horrible to hear some of the stuff that they put into play. These games that we play, that we love to play, and some of them we hate on. It sucks to hear that somebody like put in, you know, thousands of hours into this game, you know, of work, and it's just like, you know, to not even be compensated for that properly. It's, I mean, they're getting paid for that time.
Yeah.
But,
And then there's, you know, a lot of stuff also, yeah, we talk about like how games have to hit a certain Metacritic and bonuses get paid out for that. And, and you're not getting paid for that if the game doesn't meet that, you know.
The other shitty thing was, I think it was Rockstar when the RDR2 crunch shit was in the news, but a bunch of employees said that like they did lots of work on this game, you know, years of work, but because they didn't stick around till the game, you know, launched, their names got removed from the credits, which is
I've heard that
deal.
Yeah,
huge deal for an artist like that. Like that's something you can point to and say, hey, I was on this in official capacity and all that stuff, which is super shitty. And I've heard like not just Rockstar, other companies do that same thing too, where it's like if you don't leave on good terms and all that shit, it's like they'll just take your name out of the credits. Like fuck you, you didn't do any work on this.
Yeah,
and, like,
and that's unbelievable. You've done that.
Yeah,
as an artist, you get that you're supposed to get that recognition either way, and that's what, you know, gaming is. You know, a lot of these video games, they're an art, so it's like, you know, it's unbelievable.
But this is what happens when, you know, there's no structure to a union. Like the beginning of video games, like most companies didn't allow credits to be in games because they were afraid of poaching. So
yeah, that's true how it started. You know, the gaming world has evolved so much that these games are getting huge to the point where, you know, you need thousands of people on your staff to make this game, and, you know, and still have crunch time hours, and you're never going to be able, they'll never get rid of crunch time. Like, it's not going to happen.
Like I said, I'm sure there's some form of it in the film industry. The thing is, people are compensated and protected in a way where hopefully, maybe I'm being naive here just because there is a union, but hopefully it's not this bad, or if it is, we just don't hear about it.
Yeah, and I think that's what the next step will be, is to somehow form this. But like, how do they even start that with the? Yeah, I mean, the only thing that can help that is the people, the gamers. Yeah,
right. And the thing is, you know, fortunately, it's been coming up a lot more lately in the past year or two. Because I mean, this is not new. Like, I mean, you know, years ago I was, you know, somewhat interested, and then I learned about this stuff, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, you get paid less than like you would in the tech industry, like pretty much for any position that's not like a, you know, lead engineer or something like that. So it's like you work way harder, you get paid way less, and it's just like, you know, in a way, like kind of ruins something that, you know, your hobby. Like Jim, I know, you know, your thing is like, I work on computers all day. I don't want to come home and do it.
Yeah, I don't want to use the computer for
You work in the game industry and you fucking crunched 80 to 100 hours. Like, you're not going to home and play video games.
Well, I mean, ultimately, like as a gamer, I looked into that as well. As a kid, I wanted to go to DigiPen, and I wanted to go there, and I inquired, and ultimately my own decision was based on the fact that over the years, it was actually helpful to know that like what I would do, I didn't want to do at home. Like, it's just, you know, like, and I love gaming so much that I just don't want to I won't ever work on a game. I don't want to do it. Yeah. So
it's unfortunate. Ironically enough, we were talking about, you know, Apex. They came out the other day and said, because one of the criticisms Apex has been having, that their content isn't coming out fast enough.
Yes. Fortnite. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Right.
And they came out with a statement actually on their official website and everything like that, said, you know, in addition to addressing some of the issues, you know, we know everybody's hungry for new content, but the culture what we've worked hard to cultivate and the health of our team are important to us. And they said, quote, we take these into account when we discuss our content roadmap, the production schedule, and the frequency in which we can update the game. And they say our long-term goal is to ensure Apex Legends always feels alive and thriving with a focus on quality of content over novelty or speed of release. At the same time, we want to maintain our culture as a development team and avoid crunch that can quickly lead to burnout or worse.
And that's great.
Yeah, it's great. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like the game industry, like, you know, Mike was saying, movie industry, like you're probably never going to fully eliminate crunch because it's just nature of things. I mean, every job probably has some form of crunch, whether it's month end close, like finances or businesses and stuff like that. Whatever. You're going to have those moments, but like as long as they're predictable and you can staff accordingly, where it's a short period of time, like
a short crunch, short crunch,
acceptable. Not Rockstar with Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like crunches like 5 years of the development cycle. Like that's insane.
And then also giving them the credit where credit's due and compensating them for the work that they're actually doing.
Well, and I think give them proper compensation. The compensation, not pay, is. I was having a conversation today about that with like work. There's a different. It's not always. This is crazy to say, blasphemy maybe for some capitalists, but it's not always about pay. It's also about like. Yeah, it's not. And I was having this conversation with a former coworker today about like well,
how about time and money, and like how much time is your time worth compared to like the money? And it's like you have to weigh those, because certain times of the year, certain times of your life may be more valuable to you than something else. And so you have to weigh that. Yeah,
it's stress too. I mean, how much stress is your time? How much is your life worth compared to your money? Like that's
what I mean. Yeah. It's like the time aspect of it.
Yes.
If you're working 40 hours a week and you feel stressed, that probably feels like 80 hours.
Exactly.
Not happy.
So imagine what these crazy 70, 80-hour work weeks were for the crunch time. Yeah.
But the long-term problem, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, long-term problem is going to be that we're not going to have people that stay in the industry long enough to get to the senior roles and stuff like that. You look at Naughty Dog, for example, Neil Druckmann, Amy, like all these people have left. Like these senior.
Well, not Neil Druckmann.
Druckmann hasn't left yet. Yeah. Like Druckmann has said though he was close in the Schreier's stories he was talking about.
Like he had to get a second. Like, he had to get a second fucking apartment to be closer to work. Like this shit is not sustainable. And the thing is, again, like the newer generation, our generation, or the next generations come behind us. Like I don't think they're going to put up with that shit, because they're going to be like, again, it's like I could make more money doing less work, less stress.
Yeah,
and not have to deal with all this bullshit. Yeah. So now you're going to have these vacant positions as all these other people, retire either willfully or burn out for health reasons, and you're just going to have these vacant positions that aren't going to be filled. And because of that, you're going to have worse quality games.
Yeah, you'll have the talent won't be there for it.
So, what was that?
You'll have the Randy Pitchfords, the assholes that stick around.
Well, because they can feed you and stuff like that, and that's the thing that.
That's what I mean. No, you're going to get like the people that are going to stick around are the people that are going to bully people out of the way.
Right. Exactly. It's got to change. It's got to change.
It does.
No, and the game companies too, the people at the top, they definitely need to work on this as well. Like they need to come and they need to realize that they're destroying their own industry as well. And I don't know if they will, but unionizing is going to definitely help. But the companies have to do something.
Yeah, and the thing is, as much shit as they give like EA, they've come a long way actually. At least through the grapevine and what you read, on the internet and stuff like that. But I remember like probably 10 to 15 years ago, there was this huge like wives against EA thing where they said that this band of wives came together and said their husbands were never around because ridiculous hours and crunch and all that stuff. And I think they actually won or settled out of court. But after that, EA started to like really change, and all their not Glassdoor necessarily, but like whatever like employee ranking or places to work ranking, like it's gone up, stuff like that. So
that's good.
It's unfortunate that it just kind of needs this shit to happen for things to change, but
because it's been happening, it's just a matter of it's got to become the light. Yes, that's really the big thing.
Let it burn.
Yes. So all right. Anything else to add, Mike? Nothing? No. All right. We covered it pretty well, I think. I think that's going to wrap up 445 of the Gamecast. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week to our movie cast and Gamecast coming up. We'll have some topics for you guys then. Maybe a spoiler cast.
I think we're even getting like another PlayStation Mini Direct next week.
We are supposed to get that, yes. Maybe a spoiler cast for Pikachu in a couple weeks if we all get to see it at some point. So we'll see.
John Wick comes out in 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, John Wick. Yeah, I got to see that this time. I missed the last one in the theaters. I'll be watching this one. So
good.
So look for some bonus rounds soon and more topics coming your way. Write us podcast at allyoucangeek.net. You can follow us on Twitter also at allyoucangeek. And like us on Facebook and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to us, please. We appreciate it. Appreciate the views. Appreciate the listeners. Tune in. Keep tuning in. Thank you.